Good morning, everyone. Good morning to friends, neighbors, and relatives out in your homes joining us this morning. Thank you for being here. And thank you and good morning to folks here in Fellowship Hall for coming out on this beautiful morning to be with us in this hour of your day. My name is Kent McCusick. I'm the minister serving this fellowship, and my pronouns are he and him. It's so good to have you in this month of April. Our theme this month is Awakening. And I want to acknowledge the beautiful flowers here in the room this morning, which were a gift from the family of Julie Freed. There was a memorial service, a celebration of her life yesterday, and the flowers are as beautiful as her life was celebrated. Also this week, I want to point out that we have Partner Church Basket over on the table, which we will be sending, wiring the money to our partner church this week. So if you would like to make a gift for the partner church, please do that today or tomorrow. To support their feeding program, they feed elders in 15 communities, but also refugees are now coming across the border into Romania, which are bringing extra costs to their program, not to mention the cost of gasoline and the cost of food, which is even more severe than we're experiencing here. So thank you for your support of our partner church, and thank you for your support of the Community Academy and for all of the initiatives that are important to this fellowship. This morning, our service is called Awakening to the Radical Dharma. Was that the last slide or the first slide? Let's go back to the beginning and start over. Awakening the Radical Dharma. Our board welcome this morning will be given by Kiri Saul.
Good morning and welcome. My name's Carrie Saul. My pronouns are she, her, and I serve on your fellowship board of directors. I want to thank you all for being here today, and extend a special welcome to any visitors. Please stay on after the service for the virtual coffee hour. If you're comfortable, you may introduce yourself to others and join in conversation with kindred spirits. If you'd like more information about the fellowship, please sign our virtual guest book at uufames.org and then /guestbook, uufames.org/guestbook. The new CDC COVID-19 community guidelines currently rate Story County in the low green level, which means the fellowship is again reopened to in-person gathering. Masks are still required, and for now, we're not singing or serving coffee and refreshments. Childcare is also currently not available. In line with these guidelines, we look forward to seeing you at the fellowship or on Zoom if you prefer. We greatly appreciate all you continue to do in keeping this community healthy and safe. Please continue to wear masks, stay home if you don't feel well, be mindful of others' comfort with social distancing, be vaccinated, and get those boosters where appropriate. These measures have kept our beloved community safe, and now we're glad to be together again. So, on behalf of this caring, nurturing congregation, I welcome each and every one of you to this sacred space. Here, we invite you to an experience of transformation, hope, renewal, and connections, which may inspire you to understand life in new ways. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Kiri. Also, just want to put this out to you this morning because since we're not singing yet, that maybe if when the music moved you today, if you wanted to stand up and move around, maybe you could shake up the energy of the room so that we might have coffee next week. but it's going to take some dancing and some moving around, so help us with that. We also need volunteers to make the coffee. So if you'd like to have coffee next week, please get in touch with us. We are eager to socialize again. Each week we begin our service with the ringing of our chime 3 times. Once to wake the chime, once to open our minds, and once to open our hearts.
In the world of the driven, let us be drawn in. Let your love be a given, let us be drawn in. To imagine, to dream, to create, to redeem, for the sake of the living, let us be drawn in.
Our chalice lighting this morning is by John Welwood. Forget about enlightenment. Sit down wherever you are and listen to the wind singing in your veins. Feel the love, the longing, the fear in your bones. Open your heart to who you are right now. Not to who you would like to be, not the saint you are striving to become, but the being right here before you, inside you, around you. All of you is holy. You are already more and less than whatever you can know. Breathe out, touch in, let go. Our prelude this morning is the Redemption Song by Bob Marley, arranged and performed by the Canna Mason families. Our time for all ages this morning is a story called The Empty Cup, as told by Leah Morris.
Let me tell you about the empty cup. There once was a very wise and revered teacher whose students came from all over the land to learn, to grow. One day, a very important person decided that she would study with this teacher in case there was something more that she could learn as well. So she traveled to the teacher's home, sat down, and presented herself. You've probably heard of me. You probably know about my accomplishments and all the things that I've done and my reputation as a very important person. The teacher began by offering a cup of tea. Gratefully, the VIP accepted. When the tea was ready, the teacher set it on the table and began to pour. At 3/4 of a cup, the VIP said, "That'll be enough, thank you." Yet the teacher continued to pour. When the cup was full, the new student said, "Please, that's enough, thank you." The teacher continued to pour and the tea began to spill over onto the table, hot tea in her lap. And she said, "Enough, what are you doing? Why are you continuing to pour this tea? I said that's enough." The teacher calmly continued to pour, and said, "I would love to teach you. It would be my great pleasure. But I'm afraid you are too much like this overflowing cup. In order for you to learn something new, you must first become empty." This story reminds us of the beauty and the possibility of awakening to each moment afresh, with new eyes, open to new insights, so that we can constantly be growing. This story inspired this song. Wake up, begin again, this is a new day. Open your eyes, the sun has never shone this way. It's never been this day. I'm sure you've heard it all before, sure you've seen it all before. Been down this path, it's a road I know. It's never been this road before, you've never been just who you are. Just face it, everything's changing, rearranging every day. Wake up, begin again, this is a new day. Open your eyes and say it's never been this day. Sun has never shone this way. And when you look for something new, do you ever look in you? Turn it sideways, hold it up to your face. Indeed, in every time and place, there's something fresh to touch and taste. Just face it, everything's changing, rearranging every day. Wake up, begin again, this is a new day. Open your eyes, the sun has never shone this way. It's never been this day.
Our offertory recipient for March through May is the Community Academy Micro School. This new endeavor takes a different approach to education, engaging students in nature, relationships, and involvement in our community. UUFA members Mike and Andy Todd are at the center of this micro school's founding. Let's hear a few words from a parent and a student involved in the Community Academy.
Having those really local experiences, connecting with the people in the community. I mean, I was super jealous that he got to talk with Jim Peets. I mean, you know, I listened to him on the radio, and he's like, oh yeah, and I was like, hey now, that's, you know, so I was really jealous that he got to talk to some of these people that, you know, I look up to and I admire what they have to say.
I definitely felt like I had more responsibility at the Community Academy. I felt like I was actually being treated like my age and for who I am. It's definitely different from school, where it seems a lot of times that, you know, teachers and staff members don't really care like what we are saying or what we think, because we're just a student.
Received for the Community Academy during March through May will be fully matched by Larry and Sue Kerrison. Thank you for your generosity. You can make your gift by visiting our website, uufames.org/give, or you can mail a check made out to the fellowship, being sure to write TCA in the memo line. Or if you're here in person, you can leave your offering in the basket by the door on your way out. Thank you for your generosity.
The Refuge Prayer by Thich Nhat Hanh. At the foot of the Bodhi tree, beautifully seated, peaceful and smiling, the living source of understanding and compassion, to the Buddha I go for refuge. The path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace. To the Dhamma I go for refuge. The loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation. To the Sangha I go for refuge. I am aware that the three gems are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to practice mindful breathing and smiling, looking deeply into things. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering, to cultivate compassion and loving kindness, and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to offer joy to one person in the morning and to help relieve the grief of one person in the afternoon. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with just a few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living things be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha support my efforts.
Each week, we take time in our service to share milestones in our lives, significant things that are bringing us joy or challenge or gratitude. When you share a milestone, whether you're here in Fellowship Hall or at home, I will light a candle for you. We'll start with the people in Fellowship Hall. As soon as I invite you to, if you have a milestone to share, please go to this microphone over to your left. You can lower your mask to speak, introduce yourself, share your milestone, and I'll light a candle for you. And when we're ready to shift to our friends at home, Sam will let you know when the technology is ready for you to share your milestones. This is our time of sharing. If you have a milestone to share, please come forward.
Good morning, I'm Sue Pearson. I've been thinking for weeks about sharing this joy, and that is a joy of being involved in our coming of age program.
Now is the time to practice deep breathing.
No.
I guess I'll try. Oh, I'll try that again. I'm Sue Kirsten. I've been thinking for weeks about standing up here to express my joy at being part of our coming of age program here at the fellowship. I am grateful to our RE coordinator for convincing me that I wasn't too old to be a mentor for a 13-year-old girl. And I've been grateful to this girl for accepting all of my initiatives and for faithfully participating in her own very quiet way. It's been great. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Robin Sin, a guest hoping to become planning to become a member. It's a hope that will be fulfilled, yay. As part of getting to know Ames, we just moved here in August, my husband Tom and I. One of my job duties has me doing a presentation next Tuesday at the Ames Public Library. It will be online and in person, Tuesday night. It's part of the First Amendment Days that the Greenlee School or Department of Journalism at ISU does. And I'll be part of a panel talking about how libraries build collections and why we have diverse materials there. Might be of interest to some of you.
We believe in that too.
Hello, I'm Nancy Tepper, and this started as one milestone, but I think it has morphed into two. The first is that yesterday we were able to have a memorial service for Julie Freed that was very special. She died 2 years ago, and it's been a long wait, but it was a wonderful service, and I'm very thankful we were able to do that. The second part of this is that one of the people that came to the service was someone named Sarah Tarone, who many of you knew as Sarah Long. She came to the fellowship for quite a few years. She had twin boys, and that she gave birth to while she was here. And after she gave birth to them, she provided a very special gift to a gay couple, of gay men in England who wanted to have children. So she became the surrogate for them, and it turned out they were also twins. And she would really like to come back. She was so moved that she actually emailed me later and asked me to light this milestone. About how much the fellowship support had meant to her during that time. And she had also been active in the book group, which is how she knew Julie. But she is really hoping to start coming again. They live on a farm, and this is a very busy time of year. I happen to know that this morning they're transporting pigs somewhere. And so, but she really wanted to send her love to the fellowship and thank the fellowship for all the support.
I think I would be remiss if I did not light a candle for Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. And if you've read How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi and watched any of the proceedings, the questioning that she was subjected to was not anti-racist. It was racist. It was cruel, uncalled for. And someone we know from Iowa was one of the leaders in that. I'm not trying to make a political statement. I've tried not to make a political statement. But anyway, many blessings on her as she serves her country for years to come. I'm so happy. We'll make the transition to invite our friends at home. And while they're making that transition, this is a time where we in this room engage in some breathing and meditation.
All right, folks on Zoom, go ahead.
Hi, this is Matt in Asheville, North Carolina. And today I'm celebrating 49 trips around the sun. So, and feeling very much the energy of spring and renewal. So, yay to me. Thank you, everybody.
I'd like to light a candle for my cousin Beverly. About an hour ago, I received an email message from her sister, and that she died yesterday. It was particularly poignant to me since yesterday was my 80th birthday, and a few more trips than you made around the sun, but anyway, I would like to write it for Beverly.
This is Irv Kloss. A few months ago, I probably told you about my grandson getting a sex change surgery. And this morning I talked to her dad. She is now Robin, and she's doing quite well, and she's happy and working back at work again. And so I really would like to light a candle for Robin. Thank you.
Candle is lit for all of those milestones that have been shared aloud, but also for all of those milestones that we carry in our hearts and minds. Whatever brought you here today, whatever you're carrying with you today, know that in this community of love, no one ever needs to make the journey alone. You are loved. Let's be together in a moment of silence. It's good to be together.
From beloved community, healing what separates us by Angel Kyoto Williams. My own awakening around my racism, both internalized and externalized, was through the Dharma. I am not a person who was politicized elsewhere and then said, oh, let me map this Dharma thing into it. I got it from the Dharma because I took seriously the inquiry. What is this thing that I shamelessly refer to as me? In the examination of my me-ness, this construct of me, I think that what can happen is that white America can begin to recognize that we have this other me-ness. And it's this social me-ness, literally this socially constructed ego written into law. No one here actually came from some place called white. You came from a real place and have a heritage and a background. We have allowed a paradigm that was required to move the economy in a particular way and to privilege a particular people to take over our understanding of who we are and to cut ourselves off from love. This often strikes me as such an enormous opportunity for healing for white America, to allow itself to drop into this experience of what has happened. Not to the people of color, it's clear that needs to be examined and seen, but what has happened to you? What have you lost? What have you cut yourself off from? How are you participating in holding each other in these binds that allow this to unfold? Because this construct is not you, and these ways of separation are not who you are.
We have a special piece of music this morning called A Better Place, which is played by the Playing for Change band, which is also partnered with the United Nations. This song brings together musicians from all over the world to speak out against inequality and for social justice. No matter who you are, what religion, race, caste, or gender, no matter where you live, each one of us has the right to live in freedom, dignity, and peace. And this is one of those songs that I invite you to move and stand. The sky's the limit, because we all are looking for a better place.
Freedom and justice is the melody that let us shine on. If we feel it through the music, we can make this world a better place. Freedom
come, the man I yep, don't ban, Asian, the European, the man I yep, don't ban, Salus, Salam, Shalom, Salus, Salam, Shalom, Blanc, Blanc, Rouge, Jaune, Nieppe, Bokriem, Nieppe, Yale, Nibom, Nieppe, Bokriem, Nieppe, Yale, Nusak, Nieppe, Bokriem, Nieppe, Tomadama,
Freedom and justice is the melody that let us shine on. If you hear it through the music, we can make this world a better place. Freedom and justice is the melody that let us shine on. If you feel it through the music, we can make this world a better place. Freedom and justice is the melody that let us shine on. If you hear it through the music, we can make this world a better place.
Okay, now we'll have 5 minutes for nap time. Thank you so much. The service this morning is inspired by the work of the Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams. She is I don't know what pronouns Reverend Williams uses, so I'll just refer to her as to Reverend Williams. Is an African-American Buddhist, author, activist, and the second of 3 Black women senseis, master teachers. She describes radical Dharma as an invitation to look at not just the realities and ideas and concepts and beliefs that serve the things that keep our ego intact, the things that keep us feeling safe, that serve the views of reality that continue to keep oppressive systems in place, like patriarchy, like white supremacy, supremacy of any kind, religious supremacy, that serves narratives like the sense that there is a binary of gender and that people can only exist in sight of these binaries, or ways of loving, or ways of knowing each other, or that economies have to unfold in a particular way. Radical Dharma asks us to look at histories that maybe we haven't acknowledged, to look at experiences in our own lives that we haven't acknowledged, ways that things have affected how we show up in the world. Radical Dharma asks people to be willing to look at the complexities of things that make up our realities, not just the realities that make us comfortable and keep our story, our narrative intact. Radical Dharma says there's no such thing as a singular story. I'm going to repeat that. Radical Dharma says there's no such thing as a singular narrative. So will you look at the whole truth and not just the story that you want to tell yourself? Not just the story that you've inherited, not just the story of your privilege and your entitlement to privilege, but what is our privilege based on? Who does it cost? It's a pleasure to be able to introduce you via video to Angel Kyoto Williams in part of an interview where she discusses what radical Dharma means.
Hi, this is Melvin MacLeod, the editor-in-chief of Lions Roar magazine. We're joined by my friend, Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams, a Zen teacher and activist who is profiled in the December-January issue of Lions Roar. Reverend Angel, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You are the co-author of a book called Radical Dharma. What do you understand radical Dharma to be?
The root of radical is radix, and that means whole or complete. And Dharma, of course, has many different inflections, I would say, rather than interpretations. And one of those is, amongst others, is truth. Of course, we often, as Buddhists, think of Dharma as the teachings of the Buddha, and that's when it's capital D Dharma. But it also has meanings such as one's calling, one's path, and also universal truth, which is why it was ascribed to the Buddha's teachings. And so I think of radical Dharma as the whole truth and what it means to enliven and inform one's practice with the whole truth, both one's practice formally in Buddhism, but also one's practice of justice in the world.
So you've said, which we published, that you're not actually dedicated to promoting Buddhism per se, but that when you go out into the world, and I think particularly out into the Black community, the larger Black community, which may or may not be familiar with an unusual Asian religion called Buddhism, that you're actually interested much more in promoting certain values rather than Buddhism per se. So what is it that you go out, even though you may be identified as a Buddhist teacher, what is it that you're dedicated to presenting, if not Buddhism itself?
I think that I'm dedicated to promoting what the Buddha was dedicated to promoting, which is liberation. And that really I'm talking about really core understanding of human dynamics, the dynamics of our mind, the dynamics of our behavior, the dynamics of how we relate to one another. And somewhere along the line that then got popularized by this fellow known as the Buddha. And when it met with the West, then we started to call it Buddhism. So I'm not doing anything particularly different in that sense of going into an experience of understanding and developing more skill, more awareness of understanding how it is we unfold as human beings on this planet and how it is that we relate. And ultimately, how it is that we find ourselves caught up in a kind of cycle of suffering. And often I say that the Buddha said he taught one thing and one thing only, which is suffering. And I think the way that I reframe it and think about it in modern times is I teach one thing and one thing only, which is liberation, the end to suffering.
So I have a challenge for you. I believe you said that you had come to a way that effectively you could encapsulate some of the key insights of Buddhism to be able to present them to a broader audience that may have no background or even interest in the religion of Buddhism.
Yes.
So can you give us the 30-second elevator speech about what you would say to them about what those key insights are that you think will help them in their lives and help their community?
Yeah, I think the key insight is we come to realize that we suffer, that we experience our lives as running into difficulty, challenge, a sense of dis-ease, both on a small individual level, the day-to-day things that we run into, the way that life doesn't work out the way we hope to or the way that we plan, even when we try to plan, and also the very big and significant ways, we say, old age, sickness, and death, but also divorce and moving and political upheaval and, really being at odds in terms of how to figure out how we manage the onslaught of incoming things. So we as human beings find ourselves in the position over and over again of suffering and experiencing a kind of discontent with our lives. And that there is, in fact, a path, a way in which to begin to examine how it is that we make contributions to that suffering and how we can mitigate that, and also how we can simultaneously find ease with the things that we're not able to actually control, and that itself brings about a sense of ease for us. And I just ask people, so is anyone interested in that? All the hands go up, and it doesn't matter what religion people are. We want to be, ultimately, we want to be liberated. We want to be in relationship. We want to love and be loved.
This is a meditation in breathing by Sarah Dan Jones with an arrangement by Amy Carroll Webb.
Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in love. I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out. I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in love. I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out. I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in love. I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out. I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in love. I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out. I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in love. I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out. I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in love. I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out. I breathe out love.
In a second video clip, the Reverend Williams addresses bringing the inner life of personal transformation with social liberation. It's important to note the context of Reverend Williams' presentation and the invitation into a spiritual practice, which I hope you will engage with the invitation. The event was at a national training conference for progressive activists in St. Louis. There were about 3,000 people there for this keynote. It was August 2014. Outside of the conference, there were widespread protests after the killing of Michael Brown. That is the context of this clip.
Good afternoon, folks. It's real good to see you. I want to just take a moment as we open up the final session here and acknowledge the action that just went down, that was organized by Hands Up United to the St. Louis Shut It Down. We really have to acknowledge that while we are here together, being together and in support of folks, they are actually on the front lines of St. Louis. They are here in Ferguson, and they are putting their bodies on the line in a different way than those of us that are sitting here at the tables are. So again, let's just put our hands together for Hands Up United and acknowledge that, and acknowledge the effort of all of our bodies being here together and choosing to confront racism and confront white supremacy together, because that's the only way that we are going to push it back. And so many of you don't know me, but what I am about is about bridging the inner life of personal transformation with social liberation. And many of us know that the images that we are facing and the increased awareness of the kind of racism and white supremacy is actually traumatizing to us. And it's traumatizing to any of us that are actually in touch with our humanity. So if it's not traumatizing to you, you need to do some checking about what's going on inside of you. And what we need to do as activists, though, is we need to be able to, as Assata said, to love each other and to take care of each other. And one of the ways that we need to do that is to have self-care practices. So I'm going to introduce a self-care practice. I call it a radical Dharma. And Dharma means truth centering practice. And so if you just take a moment and work with me here, what I want you to do so that you can check if it's working for you is take a moment and bring to mind a difficult experience. Don't go crazy. Just pick a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. So just take a moment and bring that to mind. And what I want you to do is feel that and notice how that feels in your body and how you get triggered and how that starts to work in your body. Now, there's a lot of practices out there, but we all know that when we're experiencing trauma, when we're experiencing the beginnings of suffering, that we can't go run out and get our meditation cushion or our yoga mat and throw it down and start doing things. But we can choose to center, and we can choose to breathe until they try to take that away too. So what I want you to do is to extend your crown towards the sky. First of all, actually feel your feet and feel your seat. So notice your feet and your seat. And then extend your crown towards the sky. Because in your length, you find your inherent dignity. And that means that's dignity that cannot be taken away. On the out-breath, I want you to broaden your shoulders from left to right and right to left. And begin to extend out. In our width, we find our sense of community and relationship. First with ourselves and then with others. On the in-breath again, feel your front body facing towards future generations. But also come back through and feel your back body and the ancestors behind you. Some of them wanted, some of them unwanted. Choose the ones that are working for you, that you can feel their support at your back. And finally, connect to your source of power by focusing on what matters to you. What motivates you to get out into this every day. Focus on that and bring it right here just beneath the belly button into your core, because that's the source of our power. Every movement, every action comes from our core. So drop your attention right down, focusing on what matters. And now I want you to check in with that thing that felt difficult and notice how it shifted for you. If it didn't shift enough, rinse, wash, repeat. We need to have these kind of practices because our choice to heal is radical. Our choice to live is radical. Our choice to thrive in the face of suffering and oppression is radical. And without inner change, there can be no outer change. Without collective change, no change matters. Thank you so much. Everyone go home and be safe after this session. Be well.
Morning service with another song by Playing for Change Band, Higher Ground. I think you'll need to get up and move with this one. So let's be radical together. In the words of Angel Kyoto Williams, let's be radical in our approach to life.
Try it again, 'cause the last time on earth I lived the whole world all sin. I'm so bad that I know more than I know, then gonna keep on trying till I reach the highest ground.
Preachers, keep on preaching. Preachers, keep on preaching. Keep on turning, 'cause it won't be too long. world of sin. I'm so glad that I know more than I knew then. Gonna keep on trying till I reach the highest cloud.
A reminder that there's no such thing as a singular narrative. Our closing words are by the Reverend Sean Parker Dennison, who began here at the UU Fellowship of Ames. At this moment of ending, may there be a good word, a blessing, to help us remember what we have so often forgotten. May the message we need be gently spoken and held in the spaces of our cells, the fibers that hold all we need to maintain our gentleness, our courage, and our hope. At this moment of ending, may the goodness we wish for ourselves and each other, this community, ecosystem, planet, and stardust galaxy become such a part of us that we cannot tell where the blessing ends and we begin. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for joining us from home today. And thank you for your continued generosity for the Community Academy, for our partner church. We have raised $5,000 for our partner church, which we'll be sending this week. And we continue to support the Community Academy and Black Lives Matter. Thank you so much for being here, and I wish you a beautiful week. Now I'm going to stop talking so you can go out and enjoy this beautiful day. Thank you for being with us.